What's up? This is Draco.
And this is Alicia.
And you're now tuned in to OD
Podcast. Period. What's up?
What's up? I was glitching.
Anyway, can you hear me good?
I can hear you amazing.
That's what they always say.
Okay, girl, please. You sound chapped and dirty.
All right.
You sound like you got roaches in your mic.
That's impossible.
It ain't. Trust me. I watched a video. I watched a video the other day on Instagram. Somebody was fixing his boy outside his MacBook. It was roaches in it.
Oh, trust me. You know he's working at the Apple Store. Listen, it be stuff in there that you don't even think supposed to fit in the little crannies, and they be up in there. It's like, what? Are you a farmer?
What?
Why is there basil in?
For real?
Man, cornmeal, bugs, old coffee, drink. I mean, like soda. It's like, but you know what? People just think about it. People take the computer wherever they go, and they be trying to act crazy when I open it up, and it's a whole pound cake in there. You know how this whole a bundt cake got in your darn computer?
I don't take mine. Don't even leave the house.
Mine either, but we also live like what I would say like clean lives. Like we don't really be like nowhere in the dirt. Like there used to be a lot of people that would come in there and they phone won't charge no more, and then you look in a charging port and it'll be a whole rice kernel in there. It'll be full of dirt, like full of lint to the point where we have to use like a paper clip to scratch it out of there. And then they phone charge fine, but the lint had accumulated so much in the phone that the charger it can't even reach the little charging pins. I know, it's so crazy.
I'm looking, man.
I mean, it's got to take a lot of dirt to get to that point because I don't had a phone 2-3 years and I ain't had that problem. But I think, if you put your phone in your pockets, if you work in a farm or a warehouse of some sort, over
Stop
time.
saying it.
What?
About people working in a farm.
No, there are. Wait. That's a legit thing. Maybe not a farm, but like a garden. I have a garden. I'm a farmer. Okay. I grow food.
Okay.
Dang, you got like food. It ain't. Anyway, all right. So what's the black business of the week since you want to play?
My black business of the week is actually right here in my face. Hold on, let me grab it.
So what ain't in your face?
Yes, it is. All right, so this is for all my hookah smokers. I understand that some people don't smoke hookah. Do what's best for you. So this
attack before even getting attacked.
Nah. No, so I am a hookah smoker. I don't smoke weed, so this is something that I enjoy doing. And I do smoke it at home a lot. So with that being said, there is a guy that I've been knowing for a few years. His name is Dante Stevens on Instagram, but he has a business that's called Savage Smokes. So basically what it is, it's a concierge hookah service, and which is good because for me, since from the beginning of the pandemic, smoking hookah was actually at first I didn't do it just because I'm like I didn't want my lungs to be weak just in case I got COVID. But I'm like if I'm gonna just be sitting in the house, I'm definitely gonna be freaking smoking.
I mean, you ain't been just sitting in the house, so
I haven't. Okay, mind your business.
My bad.
Anywho, so he has a concierge service where he makes his own shisha, which is the hookah tobacco. He has a lot of flavors. I only got 3, so he has like a little deal where you get 150 milligrams for like $50, which is a lot. Like that's probably gonna last me about 2 months. But he has all the supplies. Like even if you don't have a hookah, he has some to buy, and he will bring it to you with a delivery. Wow,
that's innovative.
That's what I said. I was like, because I saw that he had it on Instagram, and I thought that he just had his own like hookah company where he goes to different clubs and stuff and just set up, which he does. He do that too, but he was like, "Yeah, we deliver," and I'm like,
"That's fine," because I see people on Instagram all the time looking for shisha. I really do. I see it all the time.
I actually found a place by Greenbrier that is black owned, which I thought was amazing. I never saw a black owned smoke shop, so that's a different story. I don't have her information, but it's in my old hood. It's right there next to Hans in the plaza. So I will drive over there.
I'll go find out after I get my second COVID shot because I'm gonna be outside.
Oh my God, it's right over there, in that plaza. But I will drive all the way over there. That's nowhere near my house, so I would just go over there just to support her. But this is I mean, if all I gotta do is text him and be like, "Hey, I need this flavor, some codes, and some hookah."
Do he deliver to all areas? Like if I just happen to be in Allen Temple, will he deliver over there?
I'm sure he will. He'll probably have you meet him at the gate, but so
hookah anyway.
It's cool. The Instagram for it is Savage Smokes ATL. So that is SMOKES. It's the S on the end of Smokes, obviously. But Savage Smokes ATL. And then his Instagram is Dante Stevens. I don't know if he want me to put out his real Instagram, or his personal Instagram, but if you want to go be his friend, check him out. But yeah, you should check him out. He has a lot of flavors, very good quality hookah, and very good service. I literally ordered it, and he was on the way over here in the next 20 minutes. After that
is fire. Actually, I think that's really cool.
What?
I can't think of anything. So I have a couple of different friends that have different mobile services, but it's like car related stuff. But I think that's cool. I mean, that's like, it's people who can't even get their weed man to pull up.
No, for real. Like I have that problem with my friends all the time.
With your friends that are weed men?
That smoke weed and they be mad because they weed men don't pull up.
Oh yeah. People, yeah. No, I think that's cool. Well, congratulations to him. I hope he can expand as far as his eyes can see.
Yeah, he told me when he came over here to drop it off. He said that he ended up doing an event the night before and sold 100 hookahs.
Wow,
now, I don't know
is so cool.
I don't know if you are familiar. Well, you're not because you don't smoke hookah, but when you go to like event centers and clubs and bars and stuff like that, usually hookahs range between $30 and $40. So just imagine if he charged $40 and he sold 100 of them. I actually thought about that because that's a whole nother story. But I actually thought about doing that. But when you're dealing with tobacco, you have to get certain license and permission to do that type of stuff. So I just left it alone.
They're between him and God. Well, all right. Yeah. Congratulations to him. I think that's really cool. It's not a lot of times that I hear something that I ain't never seen nobody do before. I mean, I don't know what people do in the hookah industry, but I know for a fact I never heard of nobody delivering it like that.
Yep. Hookah concierge. That's what we call it.
All right. Well, shout out to your boy. We'll put the information in the episode notes per usual. And let's walk over to Shop Talk. Shop Talk. Shine.
So we got Shop Talk. Just before we get started with Shop Talk, I just want to say the word real estate really ain't that hard to spell.
Okay, all right. What we not finna do is mention this person every episode, like we was having the issue with Kill K.
Okay.
No, sorry. First of all, okay. Anyway, go ahead.
That's all I had to say about it. Just spell it right.
Yeah, and that list was so, I'm like, did this have to go on Instagram? You know what I don't like for real, and this does not just apply to her, but people be always complaining about people being their business, and they just put useless stuff or their business on the internet, and they get mad at people's responses. Not saying that she did in that particular situation. I didn't go to the tweet, but yeah. Okay. Anyway,
moving on. I did want to bring up somebody very problematic in the industry as well, Mr. Kodak Black. So Kodak Black is currently trying to say that Megan Thee Stallion owes him money for using the term drive the boat. Okay, so if you guys are not familiar with the term, well, I'm pretty sure y'all heard Megan say it. A lot of people didn't even know that she got it from Kodak Black, but Kodak was on a boat and somebody was recording him. And he was like basically staring out into space, and I guess he was envisioning himself driving the boat.
He had to be asleep or something.
Because he was just looking. He was just in the video. He's just like, look at somebody. Let me drive the boat. That's so. The video went viral. And everybody was saying that. Like, that was like a thing that was just like something. And it didn't even really have no meaning at first, but everybody was just saying it. But Megan, like, really thought it was funny. So she just, whatever. So she ended up flipping it and turned driving the boat into pouring liquor in somebody's mouth, which I hope people aren't doing still.
That was short-lived. So why he mad? Because can't do it no more.
Yeah, like, so he mad. So he didn't really say anything. Like, if I'm not mistaken, he got out of jail at some point before. I don't know. Within the last year, he got out of jail before he ended up going back. And pretty much what I'm trying to say is the term driving a boat has come and gone because she's been saying it so long. It's not really a thing no more. And I felt like he only said that because she won a Grammy.
I was just about to say that. I think the Grammy thing irking him because he, from what I gathered from what he said, he tried to say that he made her famous off of that statement, which is not true.
Not at all. My thing is she doesn't like. It's not like her album is called "Drive the Boat" or she got a song called "Drive the Boat." She did say it in one song, but the song that she said it in, she didn't even put. That's not even on the album that won a Grammy, and it's not even on the song that.
And it's impossible for that to make her a Grammy Award-winning artist.
Yeah, so I hate the fact that people like him, they use the opportunity to bring somebody down when they're up like that. Like this is one of the most important things in her life, like a Grammy. And I understand it's just a trophy, but this is like one of the highest accolades that you can get in the music industry, and it means so much. Like having a Grammy under your belt is like being in my field, like in the union. Like you have a Grammy, you can literally work with anybody at this point. People will want to work with you. You can up your rates. Like it's so many different things that come behind it. So of course, people who are in the music industry, they want to go for this. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's fucked up for him to even try to take credit for that. Like I hate people like that. I hate people. Like
I would say this. So I feel like, yes, I agree. I think he only really brought that back up because Megan won a Grammy. But I do recall that time, I think it was like Good Morning with Kiki and Kelly. Oh, it was like a Good Morning America. It was one of those shows that come in the morning. And Kiki Palmer was hosting it. So anyway, she asked the question like, who came up with the term "dry the boat"? And I think somebody said Megan, and Megan was sitting right there. And then Keke Palmer was like, no, Kodak Black came up with it. Megan didn't say nothing. And I know Kodak mentioned that in his little Twitter rant, but I do kind of, when that happened, I'm like, why she ain't say nothing? Because to me, it made it seem like she assumed responsibility for it. And maybe she just didn't think quick enough to say it, but I did feel a way. So I'm like, nah, God darn well, you ain't make that up. Why you just that was your opportunity to finally give him credit on it, because he had already mentioned it to begin with. So I think he's still holding a grudge from that. And I also feel like Cardi B took off after doing his song, you know what I'm saying? So I think he might just feel a little jaded, and it's not to defend Kodak Black because he's very problematic, but I can see where the bitterness could, arise.
Yeah. Speaking of Cardi B, this may be the first time y'all ever heard me say this. But can y'all please leave that lady alone? Please.
What happened?
Every day this week she's gotten online. This week she's been arguing with a different person. And I think today just really bothered me, because I think at this point people just fucking with her because they know she's going to respond. And I think that's the problem. Like, I think that when you are an artist that become at the status of Cardi B, you shouldn't respond. But at the same time, that same thing happened to Nicki Minaj. Like, she's a mega star at this point. And she freaking is responding to people that say certain things. So I don't like when anybody does that, but I think that Cardi just really takes it to heart. And it really, in my head, every day I be in my head, I'm like, she'll end up quitting the music industry, because
I feel like she's been doing it for so long at this point. How hasn't she like stopped react? Like, why is she letting it get to her still? I mean, I know everybody handles stuff differently, but I do feel like she addresses stuff way too much. And I thought she kind of chilled on it. But yeah. So who was the latest? Because I seen something. Was Rah Ali taking dick?
Rah Ali, child.
So what was she saying? Because I saw the tweet, but I didn't understand.
So basically, Rah Ali has a radio show or a podcast, and she played a song from a rapper that made a diss record against Cardi B, and played the diss record on her show.
Being messy, because that's what she do.
Exactly. And Cardi responded to it because she was like provoking it, and it just started like, of course, taking flight on the internet. And the girl was talking about her child. Here we go. This is the whole thing that happened with Nicki. She thought that Nicki was talking about child, and she wasn't. And now the girl was talking about culture on a song. And
what they say about the baby?
I didn't even listen to it, honestly, because I mean, it's dumb. Like, leave her alone.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it is. I don't like when people just pick at people like that. Like I'm not a fan of that at all. But I didn't listen to the song. I don't really care that much to hear the song. But for me, I'm just like, damn, leave the girl alone. Like just leave her alone. Let her do her. She obviously ain't going nowhere no time soon. So just deal with it. And I don't understand what the beef is between Rah Ali and her. Maybe some street stuff or some other stuff, but Cardi's just like say less. That's all she said with a wink. So in my head, I'm like, oh, she finna go get Big
Shawty,
Mama.
you already on trial for one.
What's Big Mama Dunn name? Her friend who just got out of prison.
Star Brown.
Star Brim had already said when she got out, she said, I'll go back. She said, and you already on number one on my list. So just if you breathe too hard, I got you.
Oh my God.
So
oh my God. Well, yeah.
It's just too much. And I just personally don't think that Cardi needs to just be engaging in stuff like that, because look at how big she is as an artist. Like,
right. Like literally is above the people that's hating on her.
Yeah,
now, Nicki
like
Minaj
I wouldn't even
thing,
pay attention.
Clearly she's not bigger than Nicki Minaj, but like you said, like that beef was started by fans, as they all are.
Yeah, it was started by Photoshop tweets, because I don't think that was like a known thing then at that moment, or they didn't even. She just reacted before she realized that it was Photoshop, and it started a beef. But yeah, it's little stuff like that, and then that situation grew to something that it should have never grown to. And look what's going on now. So it's just like, just leave people alone. I don't know. I understand that celebrities are real people, and words do hurt. I mean, as much as we try to act like they don't, like, of course, sometimes, like, I don't care what some people say about me, but realistically, some certain things, of course, I'm going to care about it. You know what I'm saying? For sure, it got something to do with my child, my family. But yeah, I just wish she didn't pay attention to the internet. Like, I wish it was the old days when people's teams
labels
controlled their social media, so we wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so I think I have at least 2 things to do on Shop Talk. First things first, I want to talk about this Kirk Franklin thing with his son. For those of you that think that gospel music has gone too far, you think we've gotten too radical with our message, well, I got news for you. You ain't heard nothing yet, and if you don't know, now you know. Glory, glory. Okay, first of all, at first I was like, dang, why he talking to his kid like that? But his son is a grown man. Mm-hmm. And I think the real outrage, and honestly, it don't seem like there's been no outrage against Kirk Franklin, but I think it just brought something interesting to my attention. I think growing up, I always felt like people put certain Christian figures, pastors, artists, whatever, on such a high pedestal as if they are like the equivalent to perfection. And it was kind of like, it was kind of a relief to hear Kirk Franklin cussing like that, because I think that people in the church think that these people who are performing for God are perfect, like they don't do wrong. Because I've heard so many times, that man do that, that man a man of God, that man go to church, that man is a human. And I think that when you're a Christian artist or anybody that's a religious figure, you are only allowed to show one side of you. And so it's like you can't make no mistakes. When you think about the pastor John Gray, who always having these affairs on his wife, and people are so shocked and think his wife supposed to forgive him because he a pastor, because they put such like so much, like, I don't know, like power, kind of power in these people because of who they represent. But I just thought it was funny, and but I just thought it was interesting to see different comments from people from the quote unquote Christian community about Kirk Franklin cussing. It's like, y'all cuss, like, yeah, y'all do the same stuff. Why is it that he's exempt from being able to do that? Because he sings gospel music.
Looking at stuff like that, or hearing about stuff like that actually makes me like the person even better, because
I love Kirk Franklin.
Because this is the same conversation that was brought up months ago about the cussing pastor. Oh. Now, I do think that the cussing pastor do a little bit too much. Like, I'm like, all right, chill out, because I feel like he's just doing it just because he can. Mm-hmm. But in reality, I think that, just like you said, we grew up for people to put people who are like certain Christian figures to make it seem like they're perfect and they don't do certain things, or they raise their children a certain way. Now, from my understanding or from my personal experience, the people who are head of the church, mm-hmm. their kids be the worst ones.
Listen, and they be just as bad. It's like they're like, think about it. Being a pastor is a job. You're going to work. You can still be passionate about God and, walking in the faith and all this other stuff, and still have regular habits like the people that you lead in. It's just what it is.
Yeah. And so I think that for me, just seeing somebody who acts normal and do normal things, whether it's cussing your child out or whether it's drinking, like having a
Hmm.
cocktail or something, not just like being a drunk, but just having a
Yeah, but just
cocktail,
doing
having
things that
enjoying
you
yourself,
probably should not be doing if you were following the Bible word for word.
listening to music other than gospel music. Because like I can't go to no barbecue and just be listening to gospel all the time. That's just not
Right.
under
Yes,
good.
Lord, Father.
Yeah.
Hey, pass me the ice cream. Rest of our days.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Give me that fish
I
plate.
will feel more, more confident and inclined to go to church and do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah, if
I
it was
think
like
that for
more
me,
realistic. I
yeah.
think that was
So
my issue with going to church consistently because it did not seem realistic. I just was like,
no,
a lot of these people are being fake, and that's why when I did start back going to church in person, they were carried on in a more relatable, modern way. People dressed regularly, they talked like realistically. It just was like, okay, this I can get with.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Shout out to Franklin. I honestly don't think that if that's how he has to express himself to his son for his son to understand. Because from my understanding, his son is very problematic
Very problematic, exactly,
and
and a grown man.
a grown man. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't get how people can sit here and do this to this man as if they parents weren't the ones, weren't doing them the same way, scolding them in similar ways while they were growing up.
Yeah, and
I
I
know my
think
mama did.
this goes to show too, because I hear a lot of celebrity parents say this. Just because you give your kids everything they want does not mean you raising them. Like you actually, and I'm not saying that Kirk Franklin necessarily done this, but I think his daughter came out and was like, he got access to the same stuff and he got all this stuff, but sometimes it's so much deeper than that, unfortunately. And I think that actually Benzino and his daughter had some beef publicly a week or so ago, and he was talking about how she was on private jets and all these men. I'm like, kids
Yeah,
don't want or need that. They
that's
need.
not raising your child. Like
Exactly.
they
Now
need
I
their
don't.
parents there.
Right. And so I think I mean it's just I'm only mentioning it because Kirk Franklin's daughter said that, and I'm like, maybe there is something that maybe he did need to be raised differently to address some other line stuff. Like I don't really know. But is he not his son from his wife?
I don't get in too deep on that stuff about people that I don't really know.
Because
Like
I
that.
thought him and his wife been together for a long time. Well, all right, on to my next thing. I want to talk about somebody who I don't really mention much because she's always annoyed me. But Erica Mena, basically, long story short,
Woo!
basically has this business called Crown Lady. Looks like they sell swimwear, but the website says Crown Lady is proudly Black owned and created to give women the crown they deserve as the queens of the world. Most of our the rest is irrelevant. But long story short, I guess she was promoting this company and somebody submitted them a payment and it was saying you sent the payment to Mena Millions Incorporated. Okay, Erica Mena Millions. And so somebody DM'd the company and was like, hey, who was the CEO of this company? And they was basically like, why you want to know? They don't wish to share the information. It's private information. Well, actually, the CEO of a company is not really private information. Like you have a consumer has a right to know who they're supporting, and the person behind the account was basically like, well, you ain't got to support blah blah blah, basically telling me, okay, so the CEO is not Black. Got it. But then here comes Erica Mena saying that she basically she invested in this company to help friends and family, trying to basically say it's not her company, but it is your company. And you listed this company as a Black owned organization, obviously for clout. And when I say clout, I mean like customer traffic. And I've seen this a lot actually when I read an article about how Uber Eats, like during all the I don't want to say during all the protests, but there was a height of protests last year. And at that time, people were taking initiative to intentionally support Black owned business and support and keep money in the Black community. And so companies like Uber Eats and Uber Eats and Postmates, all this will basically highlight Black owned businesses. But what happened is you can't really prove if your company is Black owned or not. So people who were not Black, not even almost Black, will list their restaurants as Black owned businesses to get this traffic. And I think it's just so disgusting and weird. And I mean, if your product is good, it's going to sell. Like people are going to not, it's just crazy to me that she would do that. And she's not Black. And you could have at least said this was Safari's company or even your child's company, but you made it very clear that you are Latina. And I don't remember you saying Afro.
I have no comment. I've had some encounters with Erica Mena that weren't pleasant, and it wasn't too bad, but it did put me in a sour place. Now in my head, I'm like, maybe I'm just feeling like that because I've already had placements of where I stand with her in my head because
thanks to TV.
Thanks to TV and just thanks to social media too.
Yeah.
Just because certain comments that she said that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, that make me feel like she is one of the people that one of the Latinas that don't really fuck with Black people.
Yeah. Do you remember when she got arrested a while back? Her police report said that she was white. Now I don't know if that was like a technicality or something like that, a typo, but it definitely said she was white.
Child, she probably is white. I mean, at one point,
well, you know, white Latina is either you.
I was introduced to her as a lesbian.
Oh yeah, true. We all were, and both of them is in heteronormative relationship.
So I don't know. You know, I don't shame, but it's just I'm just saying like it's just so much going on with her, and then I don't know. She just has a problematic past, and that doesn't surprise me that she's trying to get money off of a business by saying it's a Black-owned business.
Right.
So who knows?
All right. Next, speaking of pretending to be Black.
Oh, will. Like Cardi B was saying, oh, will.
Whatever though. Anyway though. Oh, that's I'm thinking about cat stats. All right. So I had a question for you. I know we talked about it before in our pre-production meeting. And I so basically someone that I am cool with, basically, like at first they made a comment. It was like, you got a lot of Black friends and Indian friends and Mexican friends and Asian friends, kind of like as a joke, trying to be like insultive a little bit, but low key. Then she was like, oh, not my mic breaking up. You hear that? Then she was like, I wish I had some white friends, or I wish I had da 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 da. So it was interesting. I feel like she made the comment trying to be comedic, but low key had some kind of like desire undertone. I'm sorry, hold on, I can hear it. And I remember one time I was editing and I heard it too. If I hear it again, I'll just repeat what I said. But I guess my question to you is like, obviously you and I both grew up in a 99.97% Black neighborhood.
100, just say 100, girl, because I ain't even know nobody else outside of Black.
Well, the only reason why I say that is because my assistant principal in high school was white. But he probably didn't even live in Atlanta, too, truth be told. But I remember one or two times we had a white classmate in middle school, but they never stayed more than a couple weeks. I don't know what ended up happening, but that's the reason why I say that. But anyway, I'm just trying, you know what I'm saying, be a little inclusive. But we grew up around only Black people, right? And so our impression or idea of white people, not even just white people, Asians, Mexicans, whatever, was from TV. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So TV personality, things like that. So my question to you is like, did you ever like what? So you know how people used to say when we was younger, when I get money, I'm moving to the white folks neighborhood. It was kind of like a goal embedded in our head that making it or success looked like being around white people, because we were kind of told that that's what success looks like. So my first question to you is, you know, did you have that desire? Or like, what was your impression?
I did. I ain't gonna lie. So I grew up in the hood, same hood as you, and
gang.
Our white people, and I tell people this all the time because my Zay is from Miami, and of course he grew up around a lot of Latinas, but he never really grew up around white people. So they had that, and I told him, I said, we didn't even have that. Yeah, our white girls were really mixed.
Really mixed, yes, for sure.
We would call the mixed girls white girls, like even I mean,
sometimes really light-skinned girls would be called white girls. Yeah. And
I remember even hearing the word mulatto in elementary school and middle school. That's why I didn't feel like whatever. That's a whole nother topic. But I remember specifically like me just going to work with my mom, and her managers and her bosses would be white, and they would just be living a life. Like their kids would come up there, their kids would look very nice and well dressed, and they were well spoken and all this other stuff. Like they just seemed like they were just living a perfect life. And I think that me growing up in the hood, having to deal with poverty and, you know, having to learn to just take baths using microwaved water and not having no heat for the wintertime sometimes, and having to use space heaters and stuff like that. In my head, I'm like, I know white people don't deal with this shit.
Yeah, like, the picture was painted that only Black people struggle, because that's what I used to think.
So in my head, I was just like, damn, you know, what would life be like if I were born or just had either white parents or rich parents? I would say stuff like that. Now, my mom has, on her dad's side, on her mom's side, I'm sorry, she has white stepbrothers and stepsisters, and she also has white sisters and brothers as well. So I used to go visit them, when I was younger, but they lived so far away. That kind of turned me off because when I went down there, I remember the first time I went to visit them, I felt out of place. I was the only black person in the house, and they would, they can tell I was uncomfortable, but they were like, okay, let's take him bowling. Let's take him to drive four-wheelers because we was in the middle of the country.
Mm-hmm.
And these are my cousins, and I'm hearing them say nigga. Like, they call each other nigga. And I'm like, y'all niggas? In my head, I was confused because in my head, I'm like, well, they do got black family. Technically, like, they literally have black family. So, but are y'all niggas? They would call each other that. So it kind of turned me off. So I was like, maybe I don't want to be a part of that. But I don't know. And then my mom would just tell me stuff about her boss, like personal business. She would be telling me, she was like, yeah, rumor has it is that he got his niece pregnant, and that's why her. It was just little stereotypical stuff,
Yeah.
To think back in the day, but I mean, whatever. But yeah, I will say that I just felt like living in better neighborhoods around white people that was more safer.
Yeah.
For me. Now looking back on it, I had more fun in the hood. I meet people that lived in the suburbs and grew up in the suburbs. Boring. They ain't experienced nothing. Every little thing excite them. Like,
they never risked their lives. They never hit the floor when they heard gunshots, and it shows.
All right.
No, I agree. I do agree. I agree with that. Now, at that time, it might not have felt that way because we wanted more, but in reality, it shaped us, right? But I wanted to say I definitely used to always say stuff, and it's so embarrassing. I mean, I know I was a kid, but it's just so interesting how you are fed this type of information and how it translates. Because I used to desire non-black friends, and I'm not just gonna say white because I didn't know anybody from another race at all. And I think now, when I was in elementary school, I did have a white teacher in the 4th grade. Oh, we both did, Miss McMullen.
Yeah,
but that might be my first. I don't think I had
a black boyfriend though.
Oh, she did. She
had a black boyfriend.
So I think I can count on one hand how many times I had a non-black teacher. But again, it just was not. It was always like, quote unquote, the ghetto type. They dated black dudes. Like, it just was not like the Southern white people that we see represented in social media on the internet. So anyway, sorry, I'm looking down at my notes. So I remember when I first this sounds so foolish, but when I first had the opportunity to know white people, low key deep down, I was excited because in my mind, I'm thinking like, wow, I'm about to be enriched. Like, this is about to like make an impact on my life. Now, I never showed that outwardly, but I was still kind of nervous. It's so weird. Like, I was nervous to be around white people. Why though? You know what I'm saying? I think it's because I would meet these people and I would be so nervous that I couldn't even really be myself around them, because now growing up, I think that I'm unintelligent, that I look poor or I act poor, that when I'm around these people, they already think something of me, and they may have, but I didn't have any reason to believe that. And it's just and so as life goes on, I get more jobs, I meet more white people, and I mean, not just white, and I'm not even saying it's a cape for white people, but I'm just saying I literally now have friends from all over the world. I mean, that's a fact. But it wasn't until I got a little bit more mature, like in my late 20s, that I just started to be like, F it, I gotta be myself around these. Like, this is who I am, and I can't fake it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I just remember times where I would find myself like, I know we've had episodes about code switching and, working around people that we felt like was judging us because we were black. But I used to feel like I literally would have to put on a show for them, like impress them per se. Like, I remember being in environments where my friends would be acting like real loud and ghetto, whatever the case is. And I can say ghetto because I'm that. But if it's a white people looking, now I'm suddenly embarrassed. But if it's all black people around, it's like, y'all so crazy. And it's like, why is that? Why do I want their approval or their acceptance? And it's like I've said before in a previous episode, a lot of times I feel like professionalism or being polished is rooted in white supremacy, because it's like we only want to only follow these rules when they're looking at us, like when massa watching. But in reality, it should not be like that.
It's funny that you say that, because I have this conversation with one of my friends pretty much every week at this point, because they don't like the fact that that we in the black community wear are very, very like expressive with our hair, our makeup, our looks. Like for me, for the longest, I've always wanted a face tattoo. I mean, even when I was younger, and I can even recall me wanting certain piercings and stuff like that. And I remember me wanting that type of stuff, and people will always say like, "You want to be white so bad," because they never really saw black people. They never really saw black people with it. And then as I've gotten older, I'm like, these people really tried to chastise me about certain piercings in my face and tattoos on my body when realistically, this is African. My ear are African, my piercings, all of them they come from Africa. So I'm like, y'all don't even know what the hell y'all talking about. Yeah. But my friend, this particular friend, he says this about like people who wear colored wigs, long wigs, like if you have like really, 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 really long braids or wigs, or if you have like a style that's different from what you see on the norm. He's like, I just don't like that. I like the way the hair looks when it grows out of the head. Like even if it's a wig, I would want it to look like it could possibly be their hair. So my problem with that when he says stuff like that is because for one, I'm a person who has changed my hair color and changed my look a lot. And like I said, I always get, and he's even said that to me before, because when we met each other, he said to his mom, I think Draco want to be white because he do this, da, da, da. I'm like, why would you say that?
I heard that so many times off of traveling. I want to be white because I travel.
It's so many different things, and I want black people to let the shackles of being yourself go. Yeah, that, you know what I'm saying? So I think what it is, just to answer the question that you said before, is just because we don't want to, we assume that we think, that every white person thinks the same way. Mm-hmm. So we think that if we do certain things or look a certain way or talk a certain way, act a certain way, we're like, oh, they probably hood rats, they ghetto, they dumb, they don't know nothing, da, 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 da. So that's what we have embedded in our head because that's what we were told. Like that was passed on, like, oh, white people called us this and this and this and this and that.
Don't act like that around these white folks.
Yeah.
They're going to think you stupid.
I think that we can be ourselves around each other, but when it comes to being professional and being in a professional setting, we have to kind of dumb it down because we assume that, and in some cases that could be true. You know what I'm saying? But we just have to dumb it down, and it just really bothers me. It really makes me mad.
I agree. It's like we want the stamp of approval from them. And it's crazy because they are influenced so heavily by our authentic selves in the media that why should we be ashamed to be that in front of them? And I think it can be a shock to them maybe at first, but they have to accept it. Because they don't have to audition to be our friends, you know what I'm saying? So we shouldn't have to. I mean, I have my friends that I've made throughout my work life and college and stuff like that. Like, I have always been my authentic self, and they are, I mean, if there's such thing as very white, a lot of them are very white. I'm talking about family-owned boats and mountains and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it should not be that way. And it's like, I don't know, it's just crazy. It's like, I don't know. I feel like we've always just been taught to live among them instead of just being our true selves. And I do think that's changing. But I just think about there's so many things that our people like. I just want them to just be free. If there's another way to even say it. It's just, I don't know, man. I think about it a lot. Now, I mean, I will say this. I do think it's a healthier option to have people raised in a diverse environment. Like I know a lot of people went to HBCUs. Now I didn't go to one only because I just wasn't educated enough on their importance. But I do think that, when it comes to college, maybe you should go to a mixed school in the many cases, because when you hit the workforce, that's going to be your first time even knowing what to expect and, being amongst them. Now, I do think there are some elite HBCUs that may not have that problem, but it's some that's real country and they don't really get the exposure they may need to kind of like, quote unquote, be successful. It's just the world we live in. And I wish it wasn't that way, but I think that, it'll have to come with time. But
I will say, like, even with me, like, I've grown over the years to just be really proud of just the way I talk alone. Like, just my accent and the way I talk and the words that I use, because I realize how heavy of an influence it has in the community and in the industry and just in any and everything. Because people want to talk like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful to just genuinely be somebody who has this accent or just come from where I come from, because I'm not clueless and I'm well aware of what's going on, and I know how to survive if things do happen. outside of the norm. You know what I'm saying? Like I listen to like even conversations with my friends who grew up as kids of celebrities and stuff like that. They grew up different from me.
Mm-hmm.
So just everyday things which I assume that people should know or people do, they don't know about it. And I'm like, damn, like I don't even want to say lucky because there ain't nobody lucky to be Paul. But
right,
it's like,
but we made it. I mean, you're right, because I was about to say, but we made it out, but a lot of people never make it out.
Yeah. So it's like, I think that's what it is. It's just that I think for me, I just really want Black people to just be a little bit more open-minded to things. Like you said, like that's just the bottom line of it. I think that we are just comfortable in the way that we are and just the things that we know and the people that we know that we're just not really open to try to find something outside of that. And that's just not cool to me because I'm like, you're missing out on the whole opportunity. Like,
yeah, and that's one thing I do. I sometimes I mean, I might get a negative reaction to this, but I do want our people to just be a bit more open-minded. Like I feel like a lot of times we get so protective of ourselves that we just kind of don't even welcome the opportunity to be educated on certain things, and it just can create more of a dilemma than necessary. Like, I don't know. I don't even know if I have a good example, but I think all that feeds into the experience that we just talked about. It's like you got to be willing to accept things that you don't recognize, and then allow yourself to be educated or experienced. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a lot of races out here, and a lot of these folks who we think are our friends that aren't Black just might not really like us in their head, but that is not our job. That's not our responsibility. You know what I'm saying?
trust me, I lived with one.
so I mean, that, don't get me wrong, that could be the case, but it still does not mean that we should sacrifice who we are to make ourselves feel like we are accepted by them. But yeah, I just think it's funny when she said that to me. I'm just like, is it that serious? Like, it made me think like, well, maybe that's the problem. And I could tell like what she said. I'm like, she clearly wanted that. Not saying that she was jealous of me, but I mean, I guess that's kind of what it was. It was like you thinking like that and speaking that way instead of just embracing the opportunity to learn more about other people's culture could be what the problem is. But yeah, so
I definitely take the time now. I think me working at Mac, and I said this so many times before, but me working at Mac definitely opened my mind up to a lot of different lives and a lot of different people's cultures, and because I'll be honest, like Mac's motto was all races, all ages, all sexes. So like it's a lot. I didn't know a lot of people that were trans personally. Like I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
my workplace invited that, you know, made me just be around different people of different races and just different lifestyles. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, I ask a lot of questions. I try to stay in comfort zones, you know, so I won't sound too ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
But like, even like, for instance, and this is something now that I look back on it, I'm like, damn, I'm so embarrassed that I even said that. Well, I didn't say it out loud, but even thought that. But growing up in the hood with only Black people around, when you think of Asian, you automatically associate Asian with China.
Chinese,
so Chinese, these Chinese folks, and
or Africa. You treat Africa as if it's a country, even though that's where our own people came from.
Yeah, and so you are automatically say they were Chinese. And now that I'm older and even working at Mac, I had like different Asians working with me at the same time. Like at my counter, I had somebody that was Thai, Korean, and Vietnamese.
And Indians are Asian.
Exactly. Yeah, Indians are Asian.
And not just India. I mean, the Middle East in general is Asian. Like, it's not just India. And that could be said the same too about brown people. You look at them and they all Indian, but they could be from Bangladesh. They could be from anywhere. But I agree. And that's why I just, oh my goodness, it's just so interesting. Even in the schools, so we think about the education, we didn't really get that in-depth explanation about, you know, and I think it's only so much that can be taught every single day in school in certain grade levels. But I do think all that matters. It makes a difference because there have been things that I've learned for the first time in a work environment that people had known their whole lives, like certain food. Like, for example, I'm not gonna say that. It's just certain foods or activities that people have done. It's like I had to play along, like, oh, okay, but low key, I'm Googling, like, what is that? And I'm like, oh wow, you did that.
I've grown to realize that if I don't know something, I need to just ask questions.
No, I would ask, but it might not be my conversation. I'm just listening in on like certain stuff.
Okay,
Like I remember I was listening to this podcast from Nicole Dove, who was on our show. She's the host of the Urban Girl Corporate World podcast, and she talked about she had a friend on her show who talked about she would come to work on Monday, and her white coworkers would be like, "Yeah, this weekend we went skiing or we did it." But her, a black woman, went to a Jamaican club, and she would feel ashamed to talk about that because it didn't sound like cool, like going skiing and stuff like that. And then one day she was like, you know what, forget it, I'm gonna talk about it. And they was so like, wow, you went to a Jamaican club, you tried this kind of food. And it's like, she had been conditioned to believe that what she did wasn't valuable because it wasn't exotic, quote unquote. Like, and it's just, I don't know, it's just so crazy. I'm like, well, maybe you can bring them with you. I mean, they might look a little out of place, but all this stuff helps with the biases, you know what I'm saying? So, I ain't no diversity inclusion specialist, but I do want, when I do have kids, I just want them to have such a well-rounded experience and just have knowledge, and not to the point where they don't know their own identity or they think they're too good compared to those who may not have the same exposure. But I want them to really like appreciate just the world around them. It's just so much, and it's just so many things that I'm glad people are learning now. But the fact that I ain't really meet nobody outside my own race until my 20s is crazy.
Yeah.
I think it's heavily a Southern thing too, because a lot of people up north and Midwest, they went to school in mixed schools and they still have their blackness.
Yeah, but yeah, we didn't have that. You have to go up north to North Atlanta to see white people,
right? And even
like Hispanic people, because like a lot of because like the areas in Atlanta, it's all segregated still, kind of. I mean, now it's a little bit more diverse because
you wouldn't see a lot of like Hispanic people until you went to like Gwinnett, and I didn't go to Gwinnett, and maybe in Clayton County. But if you was in Fulton County, especially Southwest, or in that area, it's like it was only our own people. So I'm curious to know if people that grew up in other parts, because I will say this: when I went to school in the Fulton County school system, like when I went to school in East Point, it was a little diverse. It was mostly black. Don't get me wrong, but I could definitely see people that were not like me. Now, obviously, as a 4, 5 to 8-year-old, whatever, I don't have enough time to really gather that kind of diversity. But it's good to expose your kids to that, so it's not shocking. Like I always say that I think that when kids are picked on or kids do the picking on, it's because of lack of education. They point out things that's a difference in somebody because they never saw it before. But if you teach kids or people in general to understand and accept things that they don't recognize, then maybe they'll be less likely to like call somebody out on it.
Yeah. I know for sure, like when I went to North Atlanta, and that was a culture shock for me because from coming from Bunch and going straight to North Atlanta, I was just like, oh. And the thing is, like I like first at school, I'm like, dang, it's so many white people, so many Asians, and so many different people. Like, wow, this really feels like something from a freaking movie.
Right? Like on Clueless or something.
Yeah, I was like, wow, this really feels like a movie. Like I never really thought that I'd go to school with these different type of people. And of course, being around them, you see people automatically had like just kind of change the way they are and the way they talk, and just to sit at the table with them. I can specifically remember being in PE, and when I say my blood was boiling, I had the most blackest mama for good reasoning. Now, good reason. My mama was one of the blackest people that I knew because she had like some really traumatic things happen to her as a child dealing with white people. So she just, she was very, very, very pro-black. So she kind of rubbed that off on me growing up. And at one point, she was so pro-black that I didn't want to be. I was like, honestly,
embarrassed a little bit. I know what you mean.
Like I used to be
that
like,
was me with how much of a Christian my mama was. I'm like, Mama, come on, everybody can't praise the Lord.
I used to be like, man, I'm gonna get me some white friends.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna get, you know what I'm saying? Just because
it's like it was a goal or something. That's so crazy.
Yeah, because my mama was just so anti, and I'm like, damn, I don't want to be a hater. I don't want to hate people. Like, I'm not here for that. But I remember somebody who, them. They went to school with me in North Atlanta, and they also went to your school.
Okay.
Piece of corn.
Okay, got it.
And this girl would.
She would never ever hear this podcast. So.
I know. So she, we were in gym. We took gym class together, and we used to hang out a little bit. So we were in gym class together. We were chilling, and it was like a white girl and two white boys. They was two white girls and one white boy sitting with us on the bleachers, so we were not doing anything. And so the girls we're sitting there just telling them, because mind you, they had on like beat up New Balance and book bags. You know, us black people, we come to school. Afro's ones got
Brand new
fresh
everything.
A1. You know what I'm saying? So she had like
Mhm.
beat up New Balance. It wasn't even giving none of that. So she said over there, she's like, yeah, my dad bought me one of the my bed has like a television at the bottom, so I have to press a button that rises the.
Now you know where she used to live at, right? Because we stayed in the same apartment.
No, she didn't say that.
Oh,
Was letting the white girl tell her that.
oh,
The white girl's friends are like giggling off to the side. So in my head, I said, she's lying.
just trying
And
to make her feel crazy.
yeah, and then like the girl that we know, she had a few friends. They was like, for real? Dang, girl, you rich like that?
Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm just sitting there like,
Like,
you are embarrassing us. Like, I was so mad at her, but it was just crazy. And to think that's another reason why I had that perspective too, because I'm like, they think that we dumb. We ain't never seen nothing. We haven't.
Yeah, and maybe and that's the education opportunity on both sides.
Obviously, we're kids too. Like technically, we ninth grade, so we were kids too. And I'm just like, they probably just think this shit is a joke. Like they laughing at us when they go home. Like that made me realize like they probably be talking about us when they leave and just saying certain things. And I can honestly say that when I left, I ain't think about them folks.
Yeah. You know what though? That's interesting. So it's kind of like a kind of not curiosity on both sides, but it's just an opportunity for like education on both sides. It really is, because just like how we have our TV made perception of them, they probably had the same thing of us, you know, especially being teenagers. This is a point in life where you are becoming who you are, you discovering yourself, everything is a competition. So it's like, it's just the formative years. It's just interesting. That's really all I'm trying to say. It's just really interesting. It's just like, dang, that's crazy. Now, if there was never any division, like this wouldn't even be an issue.
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, you have to kind of break through that and just kind of like take away from your own. I mean, still be aware and still understand what's going on. And I still believe in being pro-black. Like now.
Oh, very. Come on now.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Blackity Black.
I definitely appreciate my mama now, like for sure. You know, just the way that she raised me and the things that she told me. I understand 100%. Like I understand.
Yeah.
Like, I think before it was just, I think it was just a harsh reality. Like I didn't really, I didn't want to believe that people were really like that.
Yeah.
And people thought about us like that, because in my head I'm like, well, if you're nice and you're nice to them, maybe
you'll
they won't
be
think
fine.
like
Yes. Can you believe we really? I used to think the same thing. I think that I'm nice, but in reality, you are just performing, and they're not gonna change their perspective. It just is what it is. Like you can be the best type of person on paper and still get abused by the police or it's just so crazy. It's so crazy. But
I mean, I appreciate it now. Like I promise you, like I think about it all the time. I'm like, dang, like this is the crap that my mom was talking about right here.
Yeah, it's just two sides to the coin, but it's good and bad to it, right? It's just all about just learning how to live amongst each other. That's what I think.
Yeah, very true, honey. You better speak, sister Cat.
Okay, not Sister Cat. Who it is?
I don't know. There used to be like some ghetto, some stuff we said in the hood. Sister Cat. I will say, let me tell you something. If you didn't grow up in the hood, I feel bad. And we did see a lot of stuff. We did see a lot. You can
only say that when you made it out, bro. Because this,
I know, but it's like, I mean, I had the time of my life. Just looking back, the good times outweighed the bad times. Like, if you only knew, like, just growing up in the hood and just how everybody was like a family. Like, I became friends with people in the hood. My mom became friends with like their parents, and it just went like a little circle. And then I don't know, it was just fun. Like the stuff that we did. The games that we played outside, the food, like every single detail of just growing up in the hood just always resonates.
It's the lessons. It's a trade-off, right? It's a trade-off because
I mean now I'm like, you know what, every now and again I'll probably revert back and be like, dang, I need to swing on by. Like I'll be mad that Abdul the Butcher not open, the one on Campbellton, not Greenbrier Mall.
I'm on the west side often, but I'm never really in like the trenches though. I mean, when I go to my mama's house,
it ain't really nothing over there for me.
Yeah,
except food.
My family.
Yeah, my family. Oh, for sure. Let me not say that. I'm so sorry. I don't want to disrespect my family like that. But
yeah, you from the four, but you love a threesome.
What?
Sorry, that what Lil Baby said on Drake album.
I'm from the 4 and the 3 though, kind of. But my family live in zone 1, zone 2. I mean zone 1, zone 4, zone 6, zone 3. Like they just live.
I don't know how my whole family's in zone 4. I don't know what obsession y'all have with 30331 and 30311. Turn them loose.
Crazy. Oh my God, you've been saying turn loose for so long. Turn loose.
So I guess the conclusion is, be yourself. It is okay to diversify your circle. But I don't know. Well, I mean, just make sure
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna piggyback off what you were saying.
Oh, I just think that the inclusiveness is very necessary. And I think that possibly it could cure some biases. Obviously, it's gonna take generations to fix, but you can at least help your immediate situation. Now, it won't always be that way because there's some people who just, have their ignorance or their choice to live and believe the way they do. But I think at the end of the day, there has been a lot benefited from being exposed to other cultures, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
But
I think
still be yourself. Still embrace yourself. Be Blackity Black now.
Yeah, I think that be comfortable, and I think the ultimate lesson in this is just to be comfortable with who you are and don't try to just do things to fit in. You do not have to change the way you talk, change the way you look. You can be who you are and still have a diverse set of friends. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it's not even about that. It's about how comfortable people make you and how comfortable people make you feel while you're around them. I mean, it could be possibly easy to sometimes to kind of pick out who's the good person to be around and who's not. You know what I'm saying? Whether it don't matter what race. It don't matter what race. It's just like you have to just be comfortable, and if people don't really accept you for who they are, for who you are,
you can't do nothing about that.
Can't do nothing about that, because I will say that I've had more Black people kind of ostracize me from situations than any other race. And let me tell you something, I ain't changed the way I talk. They know how I talk. They know what I'm into. They know what type of music I like. They know what type of food I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, I make everything known, and I like even down to like stuff that we learned in the hood, like Kool-Aid pickles and pickle pig feet and dry. Like, I'll tell them about that type of stuff, and they be like, "Really? I want to try it. I want to see what that tastes like." It'd be funny, you know what I'm saying? And it's so crazy. Like, if you really get to know people from other races, you'll realize that a lot of things that we go through in our culture is pretty much the same. Like, even when I'm
I used to think that white people couldn't be poor.
Yeah, not even like that too, and then like our food, a lot of our food is similar. Like the things not all the way, but it's like, of course, the way that it's prepared.
Yes, we eat broccoli. Yes, we eat shrimp.
But the way that it's prepared is different. But like just stuff that grew up on, that we grew up on, it's kind of similar to theirs in a way. But yeah, just be yourself. I mean, that's just the ultimate goal, is just to fully be yourself.
There you go. All right, well, that's all I got. I like this conversation.
So I just want everybody to know that spend your stimulus on whatever you want to spend it on. If you get a stimulus check, run it up. Let me tell you something. We did, how long this pandemic been? A year? We had two stimulus checks before this. Okay, if we survived all the way through this, baby, take that 14 to go to Louis.
Okay.
Do you one? Do your big one just this one time and spend it with a smile on your face. Because I know
if your bills are already paid. I'm sorry.
Be responsible. Be responsible. But I'm saying, if you made it up to this point with your lights still on a year later, car notes you still got your car, ain't got repo, car insurance paid. You know what I'm saying? You be smart about it. But take that. I mean, do whatever you gotta do, baby. Take it to the Benz dealership.
Okay, goodbye.
Take it to Louis Vuitton.
I don't like how you said that. I ain't used no stimulus money to get my car.
And that's fine. But when the stimulus come, or if you get one, spend it how you want, queen. Buy you that new YSL purse that you've been eyeballing for a long time.
Oh my God. Okay.
Get
Now,
you all of the
y'all
things
listen
that
to him
you
if you want to. Obviously, you can do what you want to do, but I'm gonna tell you to save it because that's just what I'm gonna do.
That's cool too. Spin it. Because what happens if you get hit by a car tomorrow? Stimulus just sitting there in your account. Now you gotta buy.
Okay, what?
Spend it.
All
I'm
right.
telling you, you're not gonna regret it. Go to Neiman Marcus and run it up if you can. Get you one good thing.
Okay.
Eat at that restaurant that you always wanted to eat
All
at.
right, y'all. It's been another episode of OD Podcast, y'all.
Don't take it to Salt Bay.
Okay.
Go on a trip.
Oh
Get
my
you that vaccine to go on that trip, baby.
Okay, listen. Wait till I get my second dose. Pfizer couldn't tell
I'm
me.
getting my first one next week, y'all. I'm ready. I'm saying the I know I've been traveling, but the travel finna get traveled even more. I'm gonna get an IV and a vaccine in the same day.
Okay. All right, y'all. Thank you, Draco, for your contributions. All right. All right,
Alicia
y'all.
is tired of my shit, and I don't care.
See y'all next week. Bye.
Go get your nails and toes done with that stimulus too, sis.